Alright, for this project we're going to open up a letter size document just like we did for the collage project. So in Photoshop I'm going to click on File, New, and make sure that the preset is US paper and the size is letter. And then I'm going to click OK. I actually want my letter size paper to be going horizontal instead of vertical. I want it to be landscape instead of portrait. So what I'm going to go to is my image toolbar at the top and go to canvas size and simply change the width to 11 and the height to 8.5. Now I'm going to get my text tool and I'm going to highlight almost the entire area of my paper and I'm going to type my name. You should type your name and do it in all capital letters. After you type your name, go ahead and highlight it. We're going to choose a font that has a very bold look to it. So it's very dark and heavy. Something like I'm using Popular STD, but if you have a different, so that's Popular Standard, but if you have a different one on your computer, that's fine. Just make sure it's something like this or like this, something that has a very thick edge to it so that we can actually make those letters look like pictures. So I'm going to use that Popular Standard, so let me go back to that. And go ahead and turn the size up to 72 because that's the highest we can go. I'm actually going to highlight that 72 and the size, the font size, and I'm going to type in 200. That's much better. I want it to be almost the whole size of my paper. Let's see if I can make it even a little bit more bigger. Let's do 250. Oh, that's too big, so I'm going to go down to 225. Still too big. Let me see if I resize this. There we go. If I resize my text box, I can get the whole thing in there. Alright, but as you can see when I click out of my text box, my text is going off the canvas a little bit, so I'm going to use my move tool and just move that right in the center. I want my name to be taking up pretty much the entire page. Alright, once we have that the way we want it, I'm going to go ahead and place in all of my pictures that I want to use for this. I'm using the exact same pictures for my photo collage. So go ahead and go to File, Open, and I'm going to pick on that apple and open it up. So select all, edit, copy, go back over to my original and paste. And I'm going to do this with every single one of those pictures, all 10 of them. Well, you actually need enough for one picture for every letter of your name. Okay, so select all, edit, copy, go back over, and edit, paste. Alright, so I'm just going to start with these two. I'm going to label my layers just because it makes it easier for me. So if I layer 1, I'm going to click on layer 1 and type in apple because that's the apple layer. And layer 2 is my Diet Coke layer, so I'm typing in Diet Coke. Remember to press enter after you get done labeling any of your layers. So on the apple layer, I'm going to use my move tool and move it right over. Actually, let me make it a little bit bigger too. Remember to hold down shift when you make it bigger. I'm going to move it right over to the M so that it takes up the whole space of the M. So I shouldn't see any black. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Alright, press enter when you have it resized. Then I'm going to go over to my text layer. And actually, let me make the apple layer invisible for a second. So I'm going to take that little eyeball next to the apple layer and click on that to make it invisible. And then on my text layer, I'm going to use my magic wand to select that M. Do you see how it just selected around the outside of the M? Now, if yours selected the M, the R, the S, or all the letters that are the same color, that's a problem. If it did that, then that means that this box up at the top is not checked. That means that you have that unchecked and then you click to see how it selects all of the black. But I want to actually check that again and just select the M. The M is all I want. I'm going to go back up to my apple layer, turn it on so it is visible, and then click on my layer mask. Now I have the M that's in the shape of an apple. And I'm going to do the same thing for the Diet Coke, but it's going to be on the R. So my Diet Coke layer, I'm going to use my Move tool to make it bigger. Remember to hold down Shift so that you don't have that proportion problem going on. Press Enter when you get it resized. Go ahead and place it over the letter that you're going to use. Make that layer invisible. Click on the layer with the text. Use your magic wand tool to select that letter. Go back up to the layer with your image, make it visible again, and then press the Add Layer Mask button. Alright, so as you can see, my pictures are going into my letters. I'm going to do 2 more really fast and then show you what I want to do with the background. Okay, so once you have all of your pictures in your letters like I have, you're going to go ahead and scroll back down to your background layer. And over where the paint bucket tool is, you also have a gradient tool. Either one of these may be on top, so that you actually want the gradient tool. So when the gradient tool is selected, I'm going to click on this little drop down menu of different colors. You can choose any of these you want, or you can double click on it, or you can double click on the color up here and change your gradient to be different colors. So I could choose to make this like a blue and then move this so that they're all where I want them to be. So this is my like tropical color gradient. You can make your gradient any way you want it. And then click OK. And then while you're on the background layer, you're just going to draw a line. And I'm drawing mine diagonal, but you could do yours up and down. But you'll see how it makes what's called a gradient going from color to color in the background. That's what we want. Then I want to add a drop shadow to each layer. So this apple layer, that's where my M is. I'm going to double click on that layer. And I'm going to move this box over so you can see it. Remember that I'm on the apple layer. I'm going to click on the drop shadow button. Now, if you see me click on and off it, you'll see a little bit of an outline, but I want to make that a little bit more obvious. So I'm going to click on drop shadow so that it's blue. And I'm going to turn the distance up quite a bit. I'm going to turn the spread up a little bit and the size up a little bit. And now you can see that it looks kind of 3D. I'm going to do that for all of my different layers. So my Diet Coke layer, I'm going to double click on it. Click on drop shadow, turn up the distance, turn up the spread, and turn up the size so that they all have drop shadows on them, and then click OK. I'm going to go through and do the rest of my layers now. Alright, once you have the drop shadow on all of them, you have a colored background, and you have pictures in all of your letters, you are ready to turn this in. So the first time you save it, you're going to go to File, Save. It should save as a Photoshop file. And I'm going to name this Name and click Save. The second time you save it, and this is the one that you're going to turn in, is to File, Save As. Make sure that this is a JPEG, and you can keep the same name. Click Save. Click OK, and then you can go into Edmodo, press Turn In, and submit this JPEG.